Hello. The three-game weird season series with the Wild has come to a close, and the Golden Knights dominated it. They won all three games. They won all three games in regulation. They won the last couple by multiple goals. This one by four. They've outscored them 12-5. They outscored them 7-1 in the third period. And biggest part of it today, beyond anything for me, and we'll get into kind of maybe what does it look like down the line here a little bit. I don't want to go too far into that because they're blowing it, but we won't talk about that yet. Is that the Wild had nothing, absolutely nothing on offense unless the Golden Knights handed it directly to them. Like they did not generate a single chance in transition. Their forecheck was completely listless. And really, when they were in the zone, they did almost nothing. And the main reason is because the Golden Knights were on top of it today. They were excellent in the way that they were structured against this particular team. It starts with something that I tweeted out, and I think maybe we need to start giving a little bit more credence to. Really not something I feel like we talk about a lot, not something I've heard Cassidy mention all that much, but boy, did it make a difference in this game. And I'm starting to notice it more and more. And that's Aiden Hill behind the goal. When these teams are ripping shots in, or these dumps in through the corners, and they're coming off the boards or down along the ice or wherever they happen to be, he gets them and gets them down to his feet way more often than he probably should. He's excellent at those ones that are ripped along the boards with tons of speed. A lot of times those come out the other side, and that's usually where forechecks are able to take away a lot of time and space from the defenseman trying to get back on the puck. Golden Knights have good moving defensemen, so if they have the ability to get back there when you have to go all the way from the blue line all the way back underneath the red line, Golden Knights are already in the zone. They're already able to get back there and get it. Once they get that puck, they're usually going to get it out if they're not immediately under pressure. And I thought today, Minnesota came in with a very simplistic attitude in this game. And that's probably what they needed to do coming off the back-to-back with the situation that they're in. I thought it was a great situation for the Golden Knights to have a nice game simply defending and really not spending a lot of time in their zone. The weird thing is the puck was coming in over and over and over again. Like, I didn't think Vegas had a great game offensively. They end up with 5 goals, and of course, 3 of them come in a 2-minute span, right at the end of the game. One into the empty net, one on the power play, one where they get an odd man rush where they really force forward, and you get Eichel on an odd man rush. Good things are going to happen. So the thing that was weird to me is that the amount of times they were able to dump the puck in, the amount of times Minnesota was throwing the puck behind the Golden Knights defense over and over and over again, and for basically the entire game, save for the one mistake. There was one other one that caught a chance in the middle. I think Hartman had the opportunity. Maybe it was Johansson. He winged it wide. But the only one was really Stone kind of slowly went over to the wall. I think he thought he had a little bit more time than he did, ends up making a bit of a soft play, and it stays in the zone. It ends up behind Hill. Like, that's the only one. That's the style of defending that if the Golden Knights can do that, if the Golden Knights can make it so that a team who's willing to put the puck in behind them over and over and over again has no success at all, which is what happened in this game, which is why Minnesota got nothing the entire game. If that's the case, then teams are typically going to find out and give up on it. They're basically going to say, all right, we've got to find ways into the zone with possession so that we can actually get some zone time here. We can't just wait for them to hand us a goal. And that's effectively what would have happened over time if Minnesota had continued to have to go into that game, and what I think would have happened down the stretch if Vegas does not get that power play and seal the game before they did. That's the part of this game that I look to and I say, okay, so let's say they get Kaprizov back. Let's say they get Eriksson Ek back. Let's say they get Foligno back. Yes, that's a very good first line and something that will definitely make that team a lot better, as will Hurdle, as will Pietrangelo for the Golden Knights on the flip side. So don't go nuts about that. But if they get that back, the style of game isn't going to change. The style of how they want to play and how they want to get in on the forecheck is not going to change. So despite that, even with better players in their lineup, I think Vegas's defending is going to be really, really good against a Minnesota team if we end up getting them in the postseason, which, as I was saying earlier, it looked like that was pretty clearly where we were headed. The Golden Knights are starting to put themselves in a position to really start to maybe take strides towards grabbing this division. We'll see what the Kings do tonight against the Rangers, and then we'll see as that moves forward. But we're starting to get to a good position where we're going to be looking at having a bit of a gap there and just staring at who that first wild card is. And Minnesota looked like they were in clear control of it. All of a sudden, St. Louis is flying, and maybe they catch him. Might end up being St. Louis. I do think if it's Minnesota, there's a massive, massive gap in coaching there. Like, I think John Hines is terrible. I had it in the Discord earlier today. I shared his little hockey reference page. Holy shit. The guy's never finished higher than fourth in his career. He's been a coach for 11 seasons. He's 4-15 in the playoffs and has never made it beyond a game 6, which he only made it to once. His teams have been eliminated in game 4, game 5 twice, and game 6. He's lost every single playoff series he's ever been in, and it's been a disaster. So I think even with some of the guys coming back from Minnesota, like, it looks pretty good for the Golden Knights if they can get to that spot. I'm not all that worried about St. Louis either. So either way, I like that. As far as like where we head with this lineup moving forward, and Dean's saying that Cassidy mentioned Pietrangelo will be out for the rest of the road trip. That's not good. That's a bit concerning, knowing that he had all that time off during Four Nations, comes back, didn't really look all that good, really hasn't looked himself. They called it a lower body injury, which is concerning because that's where the legs start to come in. Like, you look at Theodore today as a good example. That's a wrist injury. Now, there is a possibility that that can have some lingering effects, and there is some concern there. But the biggest part of Theodore's game is his feet, and that's going to be the case for Pietrangelo as well. If you're able to skate through the entirety of the injury, which Theodore was able to do, I don't know how long he took off the ice to get himself going. He should have taken a break right after Four Nations anyway, and then get going again. So he was able to come in, and you saw the feet were there. He was up to speed immediately. Yeah, it's going to take a minute to get himself going with some of the dangles and some of the things that make him. I think we're going to be fine there. But as we move forward, Pietrangelo, that's a bit of a concern. We need good Pietrangelo back. Like, when he wasn't good Pietrangelo, he's actually hurting the team. So there's an argument that they're better off without him for the time when he's not at his best. But if he can be at his best, this team can be significantly better and can have defensive performances like they had today more often than not. As far as Hurdle, it's still seemingly up in the air. The latest I heard was pretty late last night. I was still being told it is his shoulder. They're still awaiting all information on how bad it is. I don't know exactly what it is in his shoulder. I have to imagine it's some sort of, it's got to be some sort of contact injury to the shoulder. So I don't know if it popped out or separated, or if it's a ligament thing or what. I don't know that they have all the information there yet. I think basically it could be as short as maybe a couple of weeks. It could be as long as the rest of the season. So I don't think anyone's going to come out and just say what it's going to be. I'm going to keep trying to dig and figure out if we can get any more information as we move forward. But as of right now, I'm not even sure the team, or at least last night, maybe they have a bit more information now and it hasn't trickled out to me or to anyone else yet. I'm not sure they knew as of yesterday how long it was going to be. Obviously, there was no way he was going to play tonight. There's probably wasn't a high chance at all, if any, that he was going to play Friday or Saturday, so he doesn't go. Plus, he has to stay back to do the tests anyway. That was always going to be the case. As we move forward, does he play in the Edmonton game? I would guess no. I think best case scenario, it's like the end of the second week. So at least probably 2 weeks. Maybe it can be a little longer. There is no benefit to the team this year for it to be exactly game one. So I don't think we have to sit here and wait for that, where it's like, oh, well, he can't play in game 82, but he can play in game one. No, if he's going to be ready to go, they're going to try to get him back in there. I think everyone should pretty well know that Tomas Hertl has not played a lot of playoff games recently. He got the 7 with the Golden Knights last year and really didn't feel so great about how he did in those games because he wasn't very good. He wants to play. He's going to do everything he can to get back, and he's going to push to make sure that he gets back. So I think that is something that we can all definitely look forward to. I don't have any information on the Pietrangelo one. Other than that, it seems like everyone seems to be fine. I'm not quite sold on Wah in the spot that he's in the lineup. I think maybe Howden might be the better solution there long term. I also think there's an argument to potentially move Carlson into that spot, because as we look at the lineup, I do think the fourth line had a pretty strong game today. Pearson's continued to be pretty good. Update. Cassidy says he doesn't know if Pietrangelo, but doesn't think it will be long term. Okay, well that's fine. So the way it lines up, okay, if you want to stay with Barbashev, Eichel, Stone, which as long as they're scoring whatever they're scoring right now, I don't see any reason to pull off of that. I do think it's something that we're going to have to keep our eyes on head come playoff time. And if Hertl's available, I do think there's an argument to potentially balance it out, especially against a more balanced team. Minnesota could actually be that team. They would be a bit of a more balanced team. St. Louis, I don't think would be that. When you get to potentially LA, if we get there, that's definitely one where I'd want to go more balanced. But for now, I'm fine with Eichel, Barbashev, Stone staying together. It's that second line. I don't know that in a game against a much better team, and we're not getting that until next week. The next 2 games are Chicago on the road and Nashville on the road. The back-to-back with the travel makes that one a little bit difficult. So we'll see how that one goes. But I think you're probably looking at, let's get Carlson the next best forwards we can possibly have. And that's almost certainly Pavel at this point. So I think you're probably better off there. Howden probably has to play center. If you decide that Saad or Pearson or Smith or Kolazar has to come out, which I don't think they're at that point. Maybe you can get Schwint in there, he fourth line centers, and you can get Howden back onto the wing. I like Howden on the wing. I think he's been pretty good this season on the wing. I would even argue better than all those names that I just mentioned, playing wing, and he's been very good at center. So I think as they move forward, that's probably a way that you want to look. To me, right now, Howden's been better than Wah. So to me, I'd rather he's farther up the lineup, or at least you getting more minutes. The way that it balances out, because the mix of other wingers after Barbashev, Eichel, and Dorofeev, and even you could potentially throw Dorofeev at 5-on-5. I don't think Dorofeev's as far ahead as the numbers may indicate. That group of wingers that is out there beyond just Eichel and Barbashev, I think you kind of want to find what the mix is. What is the right collection of players to find it? And I think mingling them around and mixing them around potentially could be the right option moving forward. As far as the power play, one power play opportunity, it's in the back of the net within like 20 seconds. Never had to go into the bumper. Never really had to do much of an entry. Not that Hertl was going to make a big difference on the entry. The Golden Knights, when they wake up tomorrow, as long as nothing changes from what I saw, Winnipeg went 0 for 2 on the power play. Golden Knights were 1 for 1. The Golden Knights are going to have the number 1 power play in the NHL when we wake up tomorrow. That is unbelievable, like insane. That is, I can't believe it. I for years we've sat here and said how bad this power play has been, and we thought it was going to get in the way of cup runs and all this. It's the opposite now. Now we're flipping it around and saying, how do we play games where there's more than just one penalty called? And I am interested to see how does that crop up in a playoff run, especially in the road games. Seems like the home games, they get somewhat of a normal amount, and they're usually on the plus side of it. It's the road games that we're starting to see like, that's not what we want to see. That's not good, where it's one power play and out the most of the time on these road games. And you probably want to find a way to draw more of them. Waiting for guys to get whacked in the face with a high sticks, probably not going to be it. I'd like to see more getting to the goal, more trying to get underneath guys, more doing of that. But when you have guys that don't have the ability to do that, like with this team, there's not a ton of guys that do that. Theodore and Eichel are the two that jump to mind most. But in the event, number one power play by percentage, not by goals scored. They're way down in goals scored. That was their 50th power play goal scored. There are a bunch of teams above that simply because they don't get many. That's kind of what I'm saying. They don't get a ton of them. I would like to see challenging guys, trying to get past guys and forcing sticks underneath feet, forcing guys to grab, forcing guys to hook, those types of things. The problem is this team relies on puck management. They have to manage the puck well, and it's not just in their own end. Today, they did a very good job of it basically all over the ice, and that's why a team with Minnesota that's really not that offensively dangerous with the three players that are out. But as a whole, even there, they still have Rossi, they still have Boldy, they still have Brodin, they still have Faber. Like, there's still guys who can do things. Johansson can score, Nyquist can score. Like, they still have some offensive weapons. With that group being out there, the Golden Knights have to take care of the puck. If they start trying to get to the inside, trying to take players on, that's where you can potentially start turning it over. And while we're looking to draw penalties, it could end up coming down the other way. So they have to be careful with that. I do think that's something to keep an eye on as we move forward and wonder, are they going to be able to make things happen without getting as many power play opportunities as probably more teams have been getting. Granted, the league, it's way down. This Periscope and all Periscopes are brought to you by the Jimmerson Law Firm. The Jimmerson Law Firm is one of Las Vegas's preeminent law firms specializing in high-stakes business, civil, and family litigation. When winning matters, seek out the Jimmerson Law Firm. Defensively, Theodore steps right back in. I think it's pretty clear that he and McNabb are the best option. I don't think there's really any way to go around that. Hanifin had a pretty darn good game today, certainly more offensive. I thought that he made a lot of good decisions with his feet. I didn't think there was much in front of the goal. That's where it concerns me a little bit with basically everybody but McNabb, is when the puck's sitting out in front of the goal, when there are those blocks and then it's there, are they going to be able to do good things with it? There hasn't been a lot of that recently. I don't know if that's bad teams that they're playing, not great offenses that they're playing, or they're just limiting that. If they can continue limiting that, it's going to be good moving forward. Once now you have McNabb with Theodore, where's Pietrangelo fit? Where does Hanifin fit? Do you put them together, or do you put them together? Do you mix them up with Whitecloud and Haig? That's something they're going to have to figure out. And obviously, with Pietrangelo out for a little bit, you might not have a ton of time to figure that out. Going to have to get that right going into a playoff series, no matter who it's against, because it is going to be a halfway dangerous opponent. It's either going to be if they win the division, it's Minnesota. If they continue holding on, which they would then have a much better roster than they had today, or it's a red hot St. Louis. I don't think that team's very good, but if they come in on some crazy tear, having taken over the second spot, you're going to have to get things right defensively. And I would think that things could potentially go right, because recently it's been much better. The month of March has been very good defensively. The offense has slowed down. Now, of course, there's all the hat tricks, and a lot of that's coming later in games, which is fine. Like 4 hat tricks in 9 games. Like, I'm not trying to take anything away from that. That's insane. Like, that's unbelievable that has occurred. But you are seeing, like, a game like today is a good example. Like, they walk away with 5 goals. And that's how it's going to say. That's what the scoreboard is going to say. It's 5 goals. But this is a game where they didn't have a ton of offense most of the game. I did think they had the better chances by far in the game. I don't think there's any debate there. But I don't think the 5-on-5 offense was great outside of a number of shifts early in the game from Eichel and Stone. And that was basically it. Like, Hanifin rips that one off the back wall, and then it comes out on the opposite side of where Fleury thinks it's going to come out. It's not exactly like generating your own offense. Take your goal when you get it. No question about it. Take your goal when you get it. But I'm still looking for more consistency of more dangerous opportunities. Now, if they can keep defending at the level that they've been defending at, and the power play is number 1 in the league in percentage, then you don't need as many. And maybe I'm going to have to start changing the way I think about it, because the more you watch these games, the more you do realize that less can be more for this team. That if they can play great defensively, the number of chances that they have to get to score isn't all that high. They don't need a ton of them. And the power play is as good as it has been. They've got to stay away from taking penalties. Today's penalty kill was good. Over the course of the season, it has really not been very good. I would still question as we move forward how much you want to use Stone and Eichel on that in a postseason series. We will see. But the more that you watch them play, the more that you see these style of games where they are defending at a high level, the more you realize it's not going to have to be a ton of goals at 5-on-5. They can get away with drawing the game 5-on-5. So it's 1-1, 2-2. You're probably going to win on power play. You can't lose the game at 5-on-5. And the key is they haven't been doing much of that because they haven't been giving up much at all. Basically the month of March, they've given up very, very little. And I think as we move forward, that's got to continue. How well do you feel that Riley Smith has performed in his time back? I don't think it's been one way or the other. I think he's been kind of just a piece that's been in the lineup. I don't think it's making a huge difference one way or the other. I think defensively, he's been solid. I haven't really seen any mistakes out of him defensively. I don't think the offensive game is quite there at the level it was maybe 4, 5, 6 years ago when he was, putting up something close to 30 goals. I don't think we're going to get that. And I don't think that he's really a great offensive player. That's where my question is, all right, well, where does he fit in this lineup? I actually think there is potentially an argument if Kolesar continues playing at the level he's playing at. I think there is an argument that maybe Kolesar brings more offensively right now than Smith may even bring. We'll see as we move forward. If you want to use Smith on a line with Karlsson and say that's a shutdown line, I'm fine with that because I think he's been pretty good defensively, but I don't know that that offensive pop is there. And because of that, I don't think he really is all that differentiated from a lot of the other guys that are in those positions. Saad's a little bit different, a little more of an offensive guy, trying to make sure nothing happens in the defensive zone, a little bit more of a speed guy. We've seen him be able to transport the puck in ways that hardly any of the rest of them can do. Pearson's a little bit more safe defensively, that good forechecker, willing to go to the front of the goal, which you don't get a ton out of some of the other players. Kolesar's probably the best forechecker, real good at holding on to the puck. Like there's a lot of different mixes there. There's a lot of different ways that this can go. I don't think Riley's come in and been like the fourth best winger or something. Like I was kind of hoping maybe he'd rekindle the offensive fire with Karlsson and we'd be getting a lot more offense there and the defense would be there. I don't think we're necessarily getting that, but he's definitely better than whoever it would have been instead. So that's certainly a positive there as well. Thanks again to the Jimmerson Law Firm for sponsoring this. By the way, Friday, we are going to watch the game at Giordano's. It's the Chicago game. We try to do as many Chicago games as we can there. We missed the last one for whatever reason. I can't remember why exactly we missed the last one, but we did. But we're going to do this one again Friday. Come watch the game with us at Giordano's. We do a contest every time where you fill out some guesses about how the game's going to go, and then somebody wins their entire order pizza, all their pizza for free. So you can come, you can get free pizza. I also have a $25 gift card sitting over there. Maybe somebody try and earn it. I don't know. I don't have any ideas for it. I was thinking about it right before I started this. Find a way to earn it. I don't know how you could do it. If something earns it, I'll give it to you. And then you can come on Friday, pick it up, and then basically your meal's free. Somebody find a way to earn it. I don't know what that means, but if you can, that would be great. If you could figure a way, I don't know, make me laugh, say something funny, make something good. I don't know. I don't have a good answer for you, but if you can, we're going to be there on Friday watching the game. The game's at 5:30, so no complaints about I have to work. It's Friday at 5:30. You could drink. The Ubers pick you up right there. There's the Uber. It's an easy spot. We're right there in Boca Park, so definitely come by for that. We're going to do a subtext Q&A tomorrow. It's going to be at nighttime tomorrow. So if you're on subtext, definitely be ready for that. If you're not on subtext, now's a good time to join because the playoffs are coming up. There's every single update that happens for this team comes directly to your phone via text. as opposed to having to swipe down and worry every single time about what's going on Twitter or X or whatever the hell we're calling it now. You can go to joinsubtext.com, JOIN sub SUB text text.com/SinBin, joinsubtext.com/SinBin. Sign up for that. You get access to the Discord, which is fun. You get giveaways. We've given away a bundle of tickets over the course of this season through that. Tons of different people, including somebody won like second row behind the bench glass seats one time on there. So that's certainly good. We try to do contests whenever I can. I'm going to try to do something moving forward with Inscriptographs if possible. Anytime I have free stuff, it always goes to the Subtext subscribers. So now's a good time. It's a 14-day trial. So give it a try if you want going into the playoffs. That's that. That's all I got for tonight. Thanks again to the Jimmerson Law Firm for sponsoring this. Podcast will be sometime early next week, probably Monday or Tuesday, depending on what the schedule looks like. And no Periscope on Friday because we'll be at Giordano's. Doubt I'll do one on Saturday. Maybe we'll do it on Saturday. I don't know. Probably more likely after the Edmonton game. The Edmonton game is going to be a big one at home. That'll certainly be interesting. See ya.